Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of College for YouTube back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. Here to talk about the Leviathan people. More importantly, I'm here to talk about what kind of people they influence, and probably within the Collins family who they did influence and who they mostly didn't. Who do the Leviathan people target, really, or influence? Anybody, really. Many villains do this. They target either weak people, weak-minded people. For example, the Todds, who wanted a kid, and the Leviathan used that to their advantage. Um, to somebody like a Sky Rumson, who wanted money. And you might say, is it really that simple? Yeah, it is. Look, not all characters are after the same end goal that the Leviathan are specifically on. Yes, they follow them loyalty because to a degree they want their followers to be loyal. In fact, I would dare say that's what they want in exchange for what they give you. We give you a kid, we demand your absolute loyalty. We give you money, we demand you absolute loyalty. We give you a goddamn house, we demand your loyalty. We give you a blushing bride to be, we want your loyalty. You get the point. The Leviathans want loyal followers, and loyal followers Sky Rumson is. Megan Todd and her husband are loyal to a degree, but even really, the one thing the Leviathans never saw coming is the betrayal of Jeb. Um, and really, it's keep in mind, this is before Star Wars. In many ways, I would point to Dark Shadows and say they, in a sense, did Anakin and Luke before, well, George Lucas fucking did, in a roundabout way. Here is Jeb, who was Michael, who was the baby, etc., 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 who is the baby of the goddamn Leviathans. And keep in mind, they give said baby to Megan and Todd. And God bless the Todds. God bless. Sorry, Megan and Philip. God bless. Sorry. I have a lot of fun with the Leviathan. I have fun with Dark Shadows in general. So, what made Jeb betray the Leviathans? Honestly, I always think the writing was on the wall, and let me tell you why. Before Barnabas is turned back to babyface, he's still somewhat bad, and Jeb, who's supposed to follow the book. Keep in mind, up until this point, what has Barnabas been following? The book that the Leviathans gave him, and he's following the playbook. Um, Jeb does not want to do that, and you sort of go, well, what the hell? Why not? What's the ordeal? This is in every. Think of Anakin Skywalker at his purest before he becomes Darth Vader. He literally at times is challenging the Jedi. And if Darth Vader had not turned, or sorry, had Anakin not become a Sith, I truly believe there would have been a Jedi civil war. I think me and my buddy Mark Gilman had talked about this before. If my memory is mistaken, Mark, please correct me. I believe we did. Um, Again, I'm old, so you have to forgive me. I have reached 40. The memory starts to slide in at a gradual pace. And at my pace, it's going to slide real goddamn fast. Um, so you have this moment where Anakin did fall in love with Padme. You have our buddy Christopher Peacock's character, Jeb Hawks, who's falling in love with Carolyn Collins' daughter. And hey, it's Nancy Barrett. She's blonde, she's smoking hot. Who wouldn't fall in love with her, right? Okay. This here is what causes Jeb to ultimately ditch the Leviathan. But really, prior to that, It's not like Jeb was wanting to placate to their goddamn rules either. The only rule he really placated to was the goddamn room, and even that grew tiresome of him once he met Carolyn. Once he started sort of falling for her. And her love kept him alive, which is really interesting. Now, do I love them turning Jeb babyface? No, I don't, but they did it any goddamn way. Now, so who, I answered who did the Leviathan recruit? Anybody and everybody. Now, do they always get their recruit? No. And there is plenty proof of that. Now, there is one iota proof of this. There's one person, and his name is Collins. It's Caleb Sayers Collins, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that very Caleb. The Caleb who we're never introduced to and never meet, but who had one of the most strictest policies on his own home that he built. A house called the Seaview House. And this house could not be owned by a stranger. And you might say, well, that's not a big deal. But it also could not be owned by a Collins for over 100 years after his death. By the way, if you count that, that includes when the show actually goddamn ended. So, Caleb's, by the time the show ends, guess whose house is for sale? Caleb's house. Guess who's no longer around that we know of? The goddamn Leviathans. It's one of the most interesting things. So who was Caleb other than a Collins? Did he possess some sort of power? Did he know somebody who possessed power? Was he aware that some of his members of his family may have been Leviathan members? Yes, yes, and yes to all goddamn three, in my opinion. Let me explain. Why does Isaac Collins come to America? It's quite simply the Leviathans most likely told him so. Is Joshua in on this? Yes, that I agree with. By the way, the Joshua one is Patrick McRae's theory that I'm going off of, and I do agree with it. There's something to this. Now, why would Caleb turn him down? It's quite simply he didn't want to be a Leviathan member. So why didn't they do anything about it? It's very simple. Caleb Sayers Collins was a member of the cult of Judah goddamn Zachary. Why not? If a Collins can be a Leviathan member, then damn sure Collins could be a member of the cult of Judah Zachary, and Zachary protected him from them. He had the power and means to do so. They could never get Judah Zachary on witchcraft because nobody would betray him. Lo and behold, some nice looking blonde named Angelique turns on him and does betray him. And he curses her and that entire family. And that by the way, that I believe is what does Caleb Sayers Collins in. The curse, not the Leviathan, the curse on the Collins family, because he, despite his loyalty to Judah, was a Collins. And I do think he tried to talk to Jeb prior to being beheaded or a member of Judah's cult, and they said, nope, not going to happen. You're one of them. You may not be a Leviathan, but you are a Collins by blood, and that punishes you just as well. So what does Caleb do? What can he do to protect him, maybe not himself, but his house possessions? It's quite simple. He builds a most messed up time machine. A time machine that doesn't run on ingenuity, it doesn't run on batteries. It runs on pure telepathy and innocence. Cue Victoria goddamn Winters, who sees a masked schooner outside the window, or so she says, and I do believe her. I think that it took somebody who wasn't a Leviathan, who wasn't a member of Judah, to actually control the goddamn house. Again, Victoria Winters wanted to buy the house. She is a Collins, but she doesn't know it. She has some sort of ability to go through time because in the series, hey, she does anyway. Even without a seance, she goes back to time. That house can travel through time, and I do believe Victoria Winters had the power to do so. So, why did Caleb tell them no? Because, well, he could. Now, who told them yes? That's the most endearing question about the Leviathan arc. We can concede that Isaac and most likely Joshua told them yes, but who told them yes in other members? Did the royal family, who were most likely connected to the Collins family? I would probably say so. Um, did other people in European powers align themselves with the Leviathan? We can probably say yes. What does the Leviathan want? They want world domination. They want to rule this very world. And they have to line up the pieces and the people in power who other people are going to listen to when they take over the goddamn world and have these people take over the world with them. If you oppose the Leviathans, if their power that they have isn't enough, the power of the people who are most powerful and wealthy will do the trick. If we can't if we can't beat you with our powers the way we could Judah Zachary, that's okay. We'll mock up a trial and have your ass executed with no problem. It's not as far fetched as it sounds when you think about it. There are probably other members out there who had special abilities. See Count Petofi. Now, why would Judah Zachary want Barnabas to square off against Petofi? That, my friends, you'll have to. I'm not going to give my opinion, but if you want a really great opinion on this, go read the Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound, which I'll be reading later tonight. Patrick makes a great point in the book. I almost said movie. The book should be a goddamn movie. Um, and here's the thing, too. Why the Collins family? Why not simply, you might say, why not Christopher Columbus? Who's to say Columbus wasn't a Leviathan? We don't know. Maybe he like Caleb Sayers Collins, after him, turned down the Leviathan. Again, not everybody join the Leviathans. I do think there was enough power to fight them. Think about what European represents. European represents the old world, the old evil ways. If we're talking about the old evil ways, we're talking about warlock, witches, vampires, werewolves. What do the Leviathans fear? Werewolves. Maybe this was the reason they wanted to get the hell out of Europe and into the New World, quite literally. Let's get away from those werewolves that can kill us. And if they come their way, we're just going to have to figure out a way to deal with them because we haven't figured out a way to deal with them yet. Ghosts and vampires aren't really our thing. We don't have to worry about them, though they can be a quite nuisance, just like a witch can. But werewolves are their primary enemy. So they recruit all sorts of people in return for loyalty. Now, are all members willing recruits? No. Look at Barnabas, for example. His recruitment is because they tell him they have the ghost of Josette prisoner, and though you want to believe them because the ghost of Josette did disappear back into her portrait, so you're sort of wondering what the flying hell happened. And when the Leviathans concoct their story, you're sort of entitled to goddamn believe them, and well, newsflash, they're lying. They're lying. Is again Megan and Philip are recruited because they want a kid. The Leviathans give them their kid to raise. It's really interesting how they go about the recruit process. Not all participants are willing. Do I think were other unwilling participants? I would wager there was at least one, and everyone thinks he's dead, and that's one Burke Devlin. I do think the Leviathans did try to recruit Burke, and he told them to beat it and get out of here. And they decided to put a creature on the wing of the plane, and well, the rest is history. Um, no, they decided to crash his plane, but I told a joke. Um, I'm not a very funny person. What can I say? So you have all that, right? And again, a lot of this is just a fan theory. It's a theory I somewhat subscribe to because I could see it happening. It's not far fetched. In fact, a lot of it is very, very possible. Was there literally a Collins civil war brewing between the alignments of Judah Zachary and the Leviathan? Most likely. And that's where I'll end that. You guys have a great day. I'll see you tonight for the read along. See ya.